Good afternoon, sir, and whoever who's watching this. My name is Bastian Enriquez, and today I'm going to present Chile's, Chile's social outbreak, which represents the fourth evaluation of Oral Production 1. The introduction to Chile's social outbreak timeline. I'm going to start talking about the cause, the initial problem on September 11, 1973. Then I'm going to talk about the consequences about it since October 19, 2019 till October 19, 2020. And then finally I'm going to talk about I'm going to tell you the solution on October 26, 2020 with the new constitution. To start with the initial problem with the cause, on September 11, 1973, with the military coup d'etat in Chile. During this time, the country was ruled by a military junta headed by General Augusto Pinochet. And during these 70 years that lasted his government, this pseudo-president used this time to create a dictatorship hierarchy constitution, which only benefits the rich people and harms the poor people. Then, part of the consequences, on October 19, 2019, as BBC News says, Chile protest, unrest in Santiago over metro fare increase. The Pinochet's constitution left on the townspeople social discontent that exploded after 30 years. Headed by the student. A student began protesting an additional fare hike of 30 pesos, flooding metro stations with large group of students jumping turnstiles. This is a testimony that is a phrase that a student told to a woman who was trying to pay his ticket to use the metro, and he told her, "It's okay, madam, don't be afraid, step underneath the turnstile. We'll take the beating so that you'll be able to buy the bread. Just step underneath the turnstile and we'll take care of you. The metro is free today." And now I'm going to show you a video of BBC News of this episode. Then, on October 24, 2019, as Left Voice says, Chilean protesters report beating and sexual assault by military and riot police. There were multiple allegations were made by human rights and feminist organizations concerning beatings, abuse, and threat of rapes against women which were participating in the protests and cacerolazos. Now I'm going to show you a performance that burns due to this. Then, on November 7, 2019, as again BBC News says, Chile protests concern grow over human rights abuses. This violent repression is a symptom of neoliberalism as the state struggle to maintain a system that is simply not sustainable. Meanwhile, as it did it during Pinochet's dictatorship, the Chilean media is showing false information in order to portray protesters as violent delinquents. And about this, in Chilean news, all women, say that the protests aren't appropriate for what's happening. It's not the 30 pesos for the metro. It's the sum of everything. It's the sum of everything. Now, BBC News has had an interview with the president Piñera, and where he literally say, "We had to call this state of emergency because that was the only way to restore public order and to protect our citizens." Now I'm going to show you the video.
Era absolutamente necesario, porque la acción vampálica de grupos criminales organizados que querían quemar el país entero requería una reacción.
Then, 1 year after of the Chile social outbreak, on October 19, 2020, it was the first anniversary. Millions of people took the street demanding the resignation of President Sebastián Piñera. Some organizations even demanded free and sovereign constituent assembly. And we can't deny the presence of the police. Excessive use of force by them, with hundreds of protesters blinded by rubber bullets, further shocked Chileans injured. Now I'm going to show you a video of how was that day. About the last video, there is something that I need to say. During all this time, the force that the police use, and the police, the military, the army use against the townspeople, people who only want to protect and demand what they want and what they need. The police never put on doubt the way how they were treating the people, and that is something that how I said it in the last video, and the president only gave them a place so they can be sure to still doing what they are doing and what they did. Then, to end with the presentation, I'm going to tell you the solution. On October 26, 2020, as BBC News says, Chileans celebrate after voting to rewrite their constitution, with Chileans overwhelming vote on October 25 in favor to replace the country's current constitution inherent from the Pinochet dictatorship. Now we have to wait the next stage on the process until the process begins. And now I'm going to show you a video of how BBC News says thousands of people have gathered in major cities to celebrate the outcome. I need to say something about this last slash. What is the importance of this topic to the actual society? And well, as you watched it on the video, there is say that 80% of the people who who went to the place to give their votes, the 80% of the people who vote were approving the apruebo to change the constitution. This is something. This is something that really matters to the current and to the current society, and because as the testimony again that I read, it's not 30 pesos for the metro. It's the sum of everything. It's the sum of everything. Since the ending of the government of the Pinochet, the people, the townspeople, the poor people live in so bad ways, and they can and the rich people can't simply can't uh, assume this because they don't really know the reality. They live in a little bubble, and they can live out of this. And this presentation, I think that it could help many people to understand what is really happening or what really happened, to maybe change their mind, because there are people who are saying, no, I rechazo because I don't want a new constitution. I don't want change the reforms that already exist, because I don't want to be like Venezuela. That is the answer that so many people say, but that's not the truth. And not because we are changing our constitution as like Venezuela did time before. That doesn't represent that we are going to end like them. This new constitution that we want to rewrite, I know this can sound a little difficult to understand to some people, but this is something really important. And as the video says, the 80% of the people who voted apruebo want a new constitution. And I think that the importance of this topic to the current days is already answered. But personally, I don't know. I think that we really need a new constitution, and we don't need to still being manipulated by the government. And now, if any of you had any question for me about the presentation, I'm able to give you an answer.
Hi, Bastian. I have two questions for you. The first one is, do you agree with the protest in Chile? And the second one is, what do you think are the consequences about the protest?
Hi there. Well, I totally agree with the protest in Chile, because the other way, if the protest it wouldn't be there, the government or the people in the high range wouldn't ever hear what we want, what the townspeople want. And I think that the consequences of the protest was the 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 lost eyes of the people who went to the protest, or the all the sexual abuses that the police did to the women or men, and all the human rights that were vulnerable by the police. I think that are the greatest consequences about the protest, because the charge fired or the supermarket or everything, all that caused that caused the that were made for the protesters, that it was something necessary to get to the point to what we want.
I have two questions, but uh, is of your point of view. What issues would you like to be considered first in the Constituent Assembly? Why? And did you participate in the protests that were made in order to achieve the Constitutional Assembly?
Hey Valeska, well, I think the first issues that I like to consider in the Constituent Assembly, it will be the better education. I don't know. I think I can deny that I don't really know what I like to the issues that the issues that should be talked first in the Constituent Assembly, because all what the people are claiming is what all need, all we all we us need. So I don't know. I could tell you that I would like to talk about first the FP, or maybe the education, or maybe to about the transport. But I don't know. I think that each point should be talked in the Constituent Assembly. Not only obviously there have to be the one first point to talk, but I think that first the people who are the people who are there in the Constituent Assembly, they should start talking about all the problems that the people had screaming at the street during all this year. I don't think that the people of the Constituent Assembly should start should take only a topic to start to speak about it. And yeah, I participated in the protest. In the protest. As you must know, I don't live in La Serena, and but the first time that I get to La Serena, I tried to go to the protest to support the people, because this is not something that you can stay at your home watching the TV and watching the TV how the people run from the police or scream what they want, or I don't know. You can't be at home doing that. I need to be part of the movement, because this is something. Not, this is not only affecting the old people who has bad pensions, or people who or I don't know, but I think that all the country, all the people should at least once go to the protest, because if you are at home watching what the news says, probably you will think what the news want you to think. But if you really go to the protest, you will live in live and feel in on your own skin what is how it's been there, because all the people think that believe that the protest is go to the march and throw rocks, or fire some things, or I don't know, break everything. I don't know, but that is not what is really. That is not what protest really means. Protest is the only place, the only sense that we as Chileans, like a democratic country, can express what we really want. But obviously, the government didn't hear or didn't want to hear what we needed to say or what we wanted to say or what we were or what we were claiming them. So that's my answer, Balaska. Thanks.